Okay, welcome back to the United Pubcast, the podcast of the official Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney, Australia, for your weekly therapy session of Manchester United's defeat against Watford. I keep saying defeat, it just comes out naturally. A draw against Watford, your weekly therapy session. I know a lot of boys are in the chat with us. I'm looking for some therapy. I'll just quickly go to them. We want to fly straight into this. Dion, always good to see you, mate. Josh, as always, scintillating stuff this morning. Can't wait to relive it. Yeah, it's one of those ones. I actually forget what actually happened in the match. Unfortunately. Evening, lads. Need this. I'm broken. As I said, Rob, we'll try our best in regards to giving everyone a bit of counselling and therapy. I'm not sure how good it will be, though. Could be quite depressing. But Dion also saying, almost glad we're out of the top four trophy. Ridiculous thing for a so-called elite club to play for, which will be one of the discussion points at the end in regards to that chase for Champions League football and what it means. And yeah, and that summing up my thoughts here as well. Feels as bad as losing, but I do appreciate everyone in the live chat for joining us, and hopefully you can get through this with us. But also the main man as well, Larry. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, Tom. Look, I was at a wedding last night, so trying to, I guess, focus on the positives here. But look, an awful result for Manchester United. In the grand context of things, when you're fighting for top four, you simply cannot afford to be dropping points to the likes of Watford. What's that? 4 points out of a potential 6 dropped to Watford. It's unacceptable, to be honest. And I think that's top four done for Manchester United. You look at our March fixture list, absolutely appalling result.
Yeah, no doubt, and we'll get into it. And look, I'm not saying we're going to beat Manchester City, but the way this season is going, you can just see us beating Manchester City and giving the title to Liverpool, or putting the the favouritism towards Liverpool, unfortunately. But that is a hurdle for another day. That we'll cross that later on in the week. But speaking of that, we're going to get into every single thing in regards to player performances, what it means, and I wouldn't say the disaster of performance, Larry, because if you actually look at it, if we scored a goal in that first half and we're going to get in the chances and everyone's I'm sure got their pitchforks out for Cristiano Ronaldo, if we scored a goal in that first half, just one, we're talking the best performance this season.
I take what you're saying. I take your point. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I still wouldn't tend to agree, to be honest, because you have to look at the opposition we're coming up against. This is Watford. They're awful. They concede a lot of goals. They're in the bottom two, I want to say, in the Premier League for goals conceded. They're an awful side. So yeah, you can say the performance overall, should one of those goals go in, maybe a completely different game. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. We've been here so many times this season talking about if Manchester United got the inaugural goal in a football game, how does it play out? But unfortunately, this is a repeated theme. And it's, again, I guess why we will get into the topic of Cristiano Ronaldo and why it isn't actually his fault.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, speaking of that, not speaking of that, but hold up, Tom, interrupting. Where is the tree? The game I watched, Juan Mata didn't score. I was calling for him to come on. He should have come on instead of some of the players who did at the end. Were you watching an old replay? Did you think he scored?
Yeah, I think I was watching an old game. But look, I thought it was time to move on. I thought I was pretty depressed this morning after the result. So I said, sod it. I can't keep looking at that tree, hoping every day is going to be Christmas. I took it down in terms of how I was feeling, Emad. So thanks for reminding me of how miserable we all are this morning, but the tree is no more.
Well, we'll go into, as I said, is the match review. So we will go sort of straight into the starting 11s. And usually when we're talking about starting 11, it's, okay, Harry Maguire's been picked again. And what does that mean? Is he picking himself, and what influence does the manager have? First time in a long time, Harry Maguire, the captain, has been dropped. Now, was this a drop or was he being rested? I think, weighing all things up, I think I would call it him being dropped. That's not to say he was a disaster against Atletico Madrid. As I said, I think he was actually better than Rafael Varane. But he has gone with Lindelof and Varane, which a lot of fans have been calling for. With that. Well, anyway. Lindelof was one of those ones against Atletico Madrid. Half the fan base had him as a 10 out of 10, and the other half had him as a 1 out of 10. It was a really weird situation for Victor Lindelof. But yeah, I'd say he has gone Lindelof and that's what a lot of the fan base had been calling for. What do you think of it? Because I don't think it affected the performance too much. As I said, Watford, I think, were pretty much horrible. I don't think they offered anything, and I don't think that was anything to do with our personnel. I just think Watford were horrible, but we did look quite composed at the back without Harry Maguire.
Yeah, we did. And if I was going to take one positive out of this game, the defence did look good. So, look, you know my thoughts, Tom. I think this partnership should be United centre-back partnership going forward. Whether they are or not, I guess time will tell. But you can't deny it, and everything you've said there is spot on. It should be Lindelof, Maguire. Whether that is the case or not, we have to wait and see.
Yeah, no, definitely. Apologies. It looks like the connection is a little bit unstable. I'm not sure. Sydney rain internet seems to shut down all of Sydney, but hopefully it's keeping well and you can understand us. Just here, got a shambles. How many chances do we need to create? We can't penetrate. Not the first time this type of performance has happened lately. And from the supporters club here, Raphael, always good to see you. Scott here, good mate of ours from It's a Football Thing, Arsenal friend. Obviously, the Arsenal fans are always very welcome in the chat after a Manchester United loss, but he sort of brings up the point about Ronaldo, and we'll get into Ronaldo in a little bit because I'm sure he'll generate a huge discussion. But on that, in regards to the performance there, as I mentioned, and we're going to get into chances, it was a good first half performance. It was actually very good, in my opinion. We should have been 4 or 5-0 up, maybe not 4 or 5-0 up, but had 4 or 5 big chances. You think, okay, two or three of those should go in. And we're talking about, as I said, a very good performance, but ultimately none of those chances go in. And we're talking about what an absolute disaster, and none of these players are good enough. And now that could be a sort of valid opinion, but it just goes to show Solskjaer was sort of so heavily criticised for talking about fine margins, saying, no, it's not about fine margins. You need to get the job done. Football is fine margins. We're so close to being absolutely brilliant, but ultimately at the end of the day, we're absolutely woeful because of it.
Yeah, I take your point. But we've seen this theme for a good while now. I want to say since the, I don't know what you want to call it, mid-season break, if you will. Since the Middlesbrough match, United have been putting in really positive first half performances for the most part, and then really falling away in the second. And I think we saw a similar theme here today. Granted, wasn't as, I guess, prominent, but the same theme is reoccurring. And I think a key part of that was Nemanja Medic, have to say. I think him being deployed in the center of the park, you're seeing what we're missing there when you see the likes of Scott McTominay, even Fred, when those two were played as a pivot, you see the quality difference. And it just shows why United desperately need to invest in that number 6 position. And if I'm United, I've seen all the conjecture around, get that one key signing. Forget all of that. You need two top quality midfielders. So it gives you the versatility and the ability to play a multitude of systems. That's what Manchester United needs to do this summer.
Well, you're talking two midfielders. How about 3 midfielders? Because the last 2 or the previous 2 games, we're talking, okay, give Paul Pogba his contract. Then we're saying, well, when we sort of get giddy over a Paul Pogba performance, you have to think, well, what's going to happen in the future? Then the following 2 performances after Paul Pogba was sort of standing out his last 2 against Atletico Madrid and now against Watford, you think, oh yeah, hang on, that's probably why we don't want to jump the gun with Paul Pogba, because this is just what he is. He's inconsistent. So I'm just thinking this situation we're calling, could we have a Nemanja Medic who's 26 years old in the number 6 role? That would be brilliant, because in my opinion, he was man of the match for Man United. So can we have a Nemanja Medic? Well, he's going to go at the end of the year most likely. Or can we have a Paul Pogba? Well, Paul Pogba's most likely going at the end of the year. So you have to replace those 2 already just in regards to numbers and personnel. But then your point is in regards to quality, you need to improve the quality. So you're talking about bringing 2 midfielders in. Really, at the end of the day, the situation we might find ourselves in, we might need a hell of a lot more than that.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, you're assuming, I'm assuming on the balance of things, assuming Paul Pogba leaves. Look, maybe I'm being a little bit hopeful here. I think James Garner's done enough in 2 seasons now in the Championship to say maybe he becomes a squad player. At the very least, maybe that doesn't mean he plays a lot of football matches, but I think he can occupy a spot on the bench and maybe be brought in here or there for the odd Premier League game, some cup games, and if he impresses, maybe he plays more than that. In saying that, yeah, I agree with you, Tom. Look, at the end of the day, 2 quality midfielders should be what United are after, and that's irrespective of if Paul Pogba stays or not. And look, we think you and I are unanimous on this. He will more than likely leave. And I got to be honest, even through his positive patches of form over the last month, I still believe moving the Frenchman on is the right step for Manchester United. He still continues to struggle for consistency. And look, calling a spade, I know Manchester United were quite poor against Atletico Madrid, particularly in that first half. He really got bullied by Ndogbia. And the reality is, now that doesn't mean United should be buying Ndogbia, but it shows Paul Pogba is a bully against Leeds United. He's a bully against Forshaw. He's a bully against Championship Middlesbrough. He's a bully against Brentford. When it comes against the bigger sides, I'm yet to see him dominate a football match outside of one half against Manchester City 4 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Ryan here, we'll move the discussion on a little bit further, which I'm sure a lot of people are here for, both Man United fans and opposition fans. But Ryan's saying we need a striker in the summer. Talking about a certain striker and Cristiano Ronaldo up front. In my opinion, it was wouldn't say his worst game for Manchester United, but in terms of one or two of the chances and the situation we found ourselves in, he needed to step up, and he had those couple of chances and he didn't take them. So there is a very strong case that it was his poorest display in a Man United shirt this season. And ever since he did turn 37, well, it was a couple of weeks ago, the couple of performances he's put in since then has suited the argument that he's over the hill in regards to age, in regards to the way he's looking on the field and sort of some of the balls that are going over his head. He's just a little bit off the pace. I think some of those, there was that clip against Atletico Madrid where there was 3 or 4 crosses and the ball was just going over his head, and you think, hang on, what am I going to do with this? And I actually made a point of watching his movement in the box today, last night, and his movement was actually phenomenal. Like in and around sort of darting into defenders, and some of the sort of decisions from Wan-Bissaka and Tellez and some of the other wide players, or not even wide players. Bruno had the ball a couple of times. You think you get a good ball in there, and the crosses just weren't on. And ultimately, the once or twice the ball did sort of drop to Ronaldo, he didn't do enough. So 100%, I know a lot of people in the chat think we don't criticise him. Here we are. I just said it was probably Ronaldo's worst performance of the season. Definitely deserving criticism. The reason that both of us have gone for the title, not Ronaldo's fault. Yeah, I don't think we can blame it on Ronaldo. I just bring the stats up here. I put it on a different website. I won't bring them up on screen, but I've just got here. Okay, Ronaldo is the problem. Okay, Ronaldo scored 15 goals this season. Bruno Fernandes has 9 goals. The next is Mason Greenwood on 6 and Rashford on 5. So let's talk about his strike partners. Forget all the baggage with Cristiano Ronaldo, Larry. There's price tag, there's legendary status, there's his age, there's the celebrity. Or we can have the argument just about the footballer. And both arguments are sort of valid in whatever context you're debating them. But let's just look at the footballer who we want to be sort of equals and treat Anthony Elanga the same as we're going to treat Cristiano Ronaldo. We expect the same from both players. I think a lot of fans sort of go along that train of thought. He's a 37-year-old footballer. Here's someone where we need to lighten the workload off him. We can't expect the world of Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not the 2007, 2008 Ronaldo. So he needs to sort of be given help. Edison Cavani. He's got appointments. He's got a high school reunion he doesn't want to miss, so he'll miss a game. He wants a family sort of commitment back in Uruguay. He'll miss a game. His commitment to the club is non-existent at the moment. Yes, he's maybe picked up 1 or 2 injuries, but he's made it clear if he has the opportunity to do something else, he'll do it. Marcus Rashford, unfortunately, is in just horrible form. And maybe there's a debate that he isn't really a striker, but at the moment you can't play Marcus Rashford. One, the horrible form he's in, and simply the lack of commitment. He just doesn't work in a Manchester United. He's not running. He's not putting 100% effort in. Mason Greenwood, what can I say? He's obviously not available. It's not a good situation. And this is when we came back to the day that Cristiano Ronaldo signed. Everyone was excited. And while we were on the side of excitement, we're also sitting here and saying, yes, there is a valid argument that it's not the great signing, that there's issues with the signing, that it shouldn't be done. So both arguments were right at the time. But I just don't see how this season, as I said, he's our top goal scorer, and I think he's second or third on assists behind Bruno Fernandes. I don't see how this season is down to Cristiano Ronaldo, like the problems.
Yeah. Look, I'm with you, Tom. Is he a bad signing or not? Look, I think the stance with all signings, and I'll say this about any player, you can only make that call once they've left the club. Now, Ronaldo's obviously left and come back. But if we're talking about this second stint, we'll really only know by the time he leaves. What did he achieve in that time? How many goals did he score in how many games? There's a multitude of factors in Cristiano Ronaldo, a number of which you already listed. Purely around this football game and the context over, I want to say again, since we've returned to football in January, we're asking a lot of any player. He's played a lot of game time. He's had a lot of game time. He doesn't get rotated with anyone. He started every single game in January bar one, where Cavani started. Like you mentioned, Cavani's not available. I question his commitment to the club, if I'm being entirely honest, on the Uruguayan. Obviously, I don't know. But everything that's coming out, particularly from Ralf Rangnick, it all suggests that Cavani doesn't want to put in that extra mile. He's got one eye on, obviously, next summer. He's got one eye on the World Cup. I think that's where Cavani is at the moment. He has no interest in, I suppose, making himself available for Manchester United. Like you said, Mason Greenwood, could he have been an option? Look, even if he was an option, I don't think Mason Greenwood's ready to lead the line for Manchester United anyway. So, and the proof we have this season should suggest he wasn't going to make a massive difference. Marcus Rashford, I wish I could tell you what the hell's going on. The thing with Ronaldo, Tom, like you mentioned, he's very much a poacher at this stage of his career. He needs players around him to support him. Elanga had a wonderful opportunity in the second half, a wonderful bit of football between him and Paul Pogba. He should have probably had a shot on target, like you said at the start. If that goes in, maybe it's a different football game. With Ronaldo, it's twofold. He doesn't play like a traditional striker, and I think he struggles to bring other players into the game. Now, I sound like a hypocrite here because in the first half, there was a brilliant passage of play where he's done a 1-2. I think it was with Anthony Elanga, which leads to an opportunity. But he doesn't bring players into the game the way a traditional striker does. He's been playing way too much football. He's 37 years of age. And under the circumstances, every striker in the world would struggle. Erling Haaland would struggle. There's simply no service. He's overdone. He needs support. And Manchester United urgently, if we're going to talk about a midfielder, striker is closely behind. United definitely need a top quality option next season.
Well, you talk about Erling Haaland. I don't know how many games he's played this season. I think there's been 1 or 2 injury situations, but where's he led Dortmund to? Led Dortmund to the Europa League, and I think they got knocked out of the Europa League. So this great striker we want to replace Ronaldo, well, is he actually the answer? I'm not saying he's not the answer, but it's just a weird situation. It's here saying our problem is that we buy players hoping we put them on the field and these things will happen. We don't buy players for a system, which is why we completely agree, but that's why we do want Ralph Rangnick to go upstairs and sort of make
Before
these
we continue, sorry, Tom, to interrupt you. There are 17 of you watching. There's 8 likes on the video. Come on. Give us a like. We're out here giving you some therapy. So give us some love. Come on, guys.
Let's have a bit of, just from a neutral's point of view here, Scott from It's a Football Thing, who's an Arsenal fan. I guess the question is, would you have fared better this season without signing him? Most players have flopped and the D has been awful. I don't think you're any better without Ronaldo. I think it's a case where I do bring up these stats here. Who are you going to play up front instead of him? Okay, we have Ronaldo. Have an option. Who are you going to play in front of him? If someone in the comments, and again, it's a valid opinion. If you don't think Ronaldo should be playing for Man United and we're better without him, 100%, it's a valid opinion. Tell me.
Can I throw something at you?
Tell me who the striker is then.
I'm not saying he's a striker, but if United wanted to play a false 9 system, I don't think Bruno Fernandes is the worst option. I just want to say, if you throw it out there, you look at how he plays. He's one of the best finishers at the club. He thinks he's a striker. I really don't think it'd be the worst idea.
It's one of these. And look, Imad at the moment, I wouldn't say Ronaldo's on his Christmas list at the moment. Where did the elite mentality go?
He still has an elite mentality.
I'm not going to question Cristiano Ronaldo there. Look, a lot of people dislike Ronaldo at the moment. I'm not going to question his mentality. He wants the best for the team. He wants to win trophies. The individual doesn't win the trophies. The team win trophies. If his goals go down as a Cristiano Ronaldo goal, well, guess what? They also go down as a Manchester United goal. Mason Greenwood's a fantastic finisher. It's not just a Greenwood goal when they go in. It's a Manchester United goal. So I'm not going to question Cristiano Ronaldo's mentality after what he's done in the game, what he's done for Manchester United. I think he's a legend in my eyes, deserving the criticism he's getting now because I think he's been poor in recent weeks and especially today against Watford. But look, he's a club legend. I'm not going to throw him under the bus when he's sort of performed and he's respected at the club when other players and bigger issues within the team and also above him in the club are far bigger issues, in my opinion.
Let me put one to you, Tom. Look, obviously United are very thin in terms of attacking options. Would you be looking, if you're Ralph Rangnick, do you look to blood younger players, to Dion's point here? Do you look to some youngsters and try and give them an opportunity here or there? I don't want to say top 4's gone. Of course, Ralph Rangnick won't view it that way. He'll keep fighting, but you have to think we got a genuine lack of quantity, let alone quality. Do you just try and give a few young kids an opportunity to see what they have? Charlie McNeil, I know he's quite, I guess, he's not small in terms of his height, but he's quite small in terms of his figure. Would it be the most outrageous thing? Someone who's got a wonderful goal-scoring record in the academy, do you give him an opportunity here or there?
Look, I like the idea of that. I'd nothing more than to see young players come through and given the chance. But ultimately, the situation we find ourselves in and the situation the next manager is going to find themselves in, you just can't do it. Unfortunately, you just can't give these young players a chance on a consistent basis because whoever the next manager comes in, if he loses 2 games, if we want Ten Hag, everyone's here calling for Ten Hag to come in. If Ten Hag loses 2 games in the first 6 months next season, they'll all want him out. The manager won't be afforded time to sort of blood 2 or 3 youngsters into the team now. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. You need a young player at Manchester United now needs to come into a winning team. Unfortunately, Adam here saying Ronaldo was part of an epic team. Tom, look again, Adam and he had a bit on Ronaldo at the moment. I completely agree. My point. I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to. It's a hard one. Let me know what you mean there, Adam. You stumped me on that one, unfortunately. What do you mean? Do you know what he means by that, Larry?
I'm not too sure. I made the statement around he needs support from his teammates. Unless there's some sort of relation into that, I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, Adam. The team done well for Manchester United, of course. But what makes up a team? 11 individuals. Unfortunately, everyone says, "Oh no, Iron team." Well, there's individuals in a team. Unfortunately, and he's a great individual. At the moment, it's not working for him. I just don't understand the hate for him. He's a club legend. He's performed in a Manchester United shirt. Others haven't. And you do look at the protection. I know, and I don't want to sort of pinpoint Adam here. I know he doesn't like criticising the younger players, and I try not to go in on Marcus Rashford because I absolutely love Marcus Rashford.
He's 24 years of age. He can be criticised.
Any player. He's still a young player, in my opinion. He's protected by the media. He won't get criticised in regards to a public. Obviously, fans will criticise him, of course, and sometimes the criticism is over the top. But in terms of the media, find one article on Marcus Rashford discussing his performances lately. There's simply not. If you type the letter R into Google, you'll find 10,000 articles discussing Ronaldo's suitability for Manchester United. Like, it's a different level of criticism.
Yeah.
And
what is it with Marcus Rashford? I mean, the great mystery, right? Maybe Marcus Rashford doesn't even know, but I just can't explain his form time. It's not an ability thing.
It's not the form.
It's obviously mental, but what is it? He's so bad at the moment. He's not even worth, and I mean this not in a personal way. He's not worth being in a United shirt at the moment. He's a genuine waste of space at the moment.
I've got no issue with his form. If he's out of form and performing he's performing quite poorly at the moment. No issue with being out of form. No issue. Okay, Ronaldo's out of form now. You have to sort of afford him that opportunity sort of to bounce back. It's the work rate. He just doesn't run. I just can't. Even when he came on here, his hands on hips, standing, loses the ball and just stands there. And I just can't get my head around in a wide area where he needs to double up with his fullback, and the fullback gets isolated once or twice towards that 85th minute. You thought Watford maybe actually going to steal one on the counter attack, and a lot of that came down from our sort of transition in wide areas.
Where I will be critical, Jadon Sancho. When was it in the game? I want to say 85th minute. Sancho puts in a really good ball. Rashford just wasn't aware to it, wasn't running, and if he was alert to it, he gets a shot. Maybe he doesn't score, but he at least gets a shot on target. He's just like you said, Tom. You got to allow players to be out of form. Sometimes that happens, but my gosh, he's just not even putting in the 1%ers at the moment, and it's unforgivable. It really is unforgivable.
Yeah. Well, on those subs, and I said before the game, I wanted to see Juan Mata come in over Bruno Fernandes, although Bruno Fernandes, like Ronaldo, is being run into the ground. And I thought, this is an opportunity at home to Watford. Here we are. We can't beat a team like Watford. But at home to a team like Watford, you can rest a Ronaldo, you can rest a Bruno Fernandes, and you can give minutes to your squad players. So I thought, play Juan Mata. He obviously wasn't on the field. The way so many games have gone in the past 10, or feels like 10 years now, against teams like Watford at home, struggling to break them down, when full time goes and we're sort of full of frustration with it, we could have done with a Juan Mata today. So I thought, instead of getting that hurdle after 90 minutes, after 60 minutes, put Juan Mata on, and there is your answer. Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford come on when you're chasing the game. Probably our best crosser of the ball, which was a sort of strong tactic of the day in Alex Telles. Let's replace him with a person who's inferior at crossing the ball. And to bring Marcus Rashford on when there's no space in behind, when you have a Jesse Lingard or a Juan Mata who can create something. Ralph Rangnick got his substitutions right in previous games, and 100% Ralph Rangnick needs full credit for that. Ultimately, he's got it wrong here, and I just could not get my head around either of those subs. Obviously, you need to change things, get fresh legs here or there, but I just could not get my head around there. Marcus Rashford simply didn't deserve to come on. The other players should have been ahead of him, in my opinion. But even the Luke Shaw one, I don't see Alex Telles. If someone's going to provide a cross for Cristiano Ronaldo, you could see Alex Telles doing it. Luke Shaw at the moment. There was a time, it was 80th minute when he came, or 80th minute, Luke Shaw held the ball for a couple of throw-ins. It was like watching Ashley Young standing there with the ball above his head. Everyone's sort of trying to burst forward, get forward, get forward. Luke Shaw's standing there. Wait. There was one time he took 27 seconds to throw the ball in. I count on the clock, 27 seconds. We're chasing the game to throw the ball in, and he's just standing there. No, I'll throw it here. No, I'll come back here. I'll throw it there. And that was criminal. Just get the ball in play and start attacking. And ultimately, there's just no football awareness from Luke Shaw at the moment.
Manchester United, what I want to see the club do is, as opposed to just going for the most talented and obvious footballer, we really need to start scouting players with work rate. I think that's crucial. And look, whatever system you play, you'll always find space for players with a good attitude. We saw Fred's comments last week. He says he's the artist. Oh, sorry, the piano holder, so the artist can play. You know what? I've got time for players like that. You don't always have to be the most talented. Gary Neville was my favorite Manchester United right back. Not the most talented footballer I've ever seen, but he worked hard at his game, and you saw the career he went on to have. Now, Luke Shaw has much more ability than Gary Neville does. Just has the shittest attitude I've ever seen. It's unacceptable. I'm sick of that caliber of player. We got way too many of them, Tom.
Yeah, it does come down to attitude. Let's say he does have quite an ability, and when he is performing and he's on it, you do see those attributes, and you think, hang on, there's a hell of a player there. Here we are all this time last year saying he was the best left back in Europe, and obviously did so well for England in the Euros, but when he's not on it, it is embarrassing because, as I say, like we've all criticised Fred, probably one of the most heavily criticised players on this podcast, Fred, over the last couple of years. But when he does come out with those words that he obviously had in that interview, which you did allude to, you kind of read them and you think, well, hang on, should we back off Fred? Because he does give his all. And there are other players who don't give their all. And ultimately, all we can ask, so like, we can't, when a ball goes into the box and someone misses a chance, you and me can't do better. No one in the chat can do better. So yes, we're going to criticise and rightly so, but really, can we? We can't do a better job. What we can do is give 100%. So that is the minimum we ask for from any player. And some players, unfortunately, aren't doing that at the moment. They have the ability to do that. Obviously, everyone has the ability to give 100%, but when they don't do it, extremely frustrating. Adam, he's saying, well, Luke Shaw is better than Gary Neville. I don't think Larry said that, but he said he has more ability. I'm definitely not a better player than Gary Neville. The old Scott McTominay, Andreas Pereira argument for those who have been following the podcast long enough. And we need to look at how Liverpool recruit. Unfortunately, teams like Liverpool and City have got it right in the past, and unfortunately, the next two games, I know Spurs are in there as well somewhere. But we will move on, and after a disappointing defeat, draw, same thing. After a disappointing result like that, always hard to sort of scrape the bottom of the barrel. But I think there are some candidates for 3-2-1, so I'll bring them up. 3-2-1s, let us know your comments or your 3-2-1 votes in the comments section. That would be great because I'm sure there'll be different opinions on this one. Got subbed, but still, for me, the best player on the pitch was Nemanja Matic.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Look, he just brings so much control. And you, like I said earlier in the video, when he's on the pitch, you see what we're lacking when he's not there. It's why it's an absolute priority for Manchester United. I wish you could freeze time, Tom, because if you could get 28-year-old Nemanja Matic back, he solves a hell of a lot.
Yeah, Rob here going Matic man of the match. Yeah, I think that's a straightforward 3 points for him. Now, who did I write down for sure? I actually wrote a few notes in regards to 3-2-1s.
I thought Lindelof was really good.
Lindelof out of the back four, I thought. Points, again, maybe there's not too many to choose from because at the end of the day, it was quite a poor performance. Rejog my memory in the live chat. This is off the top of my head going back to who I thought had a good performance. And again, not man of the match, not great, but considering some of the other issues all facing around the pitch, I thought Fred was okay.
Yeah, worked hard. Played well.
That's a sad sign.
I thought Aaron Wan-Bissaka continues to...
Here's my next one.
Yeah, it's funny, you look online, it's 50-50. Some people think Wan-Bissaka is absolute garbage. Other people think, no, he's really good. He should absolutely stay in the squad. I don't know what's happened with Ralph Rangnick and Diogo Dalot, but Wan-Bissaka seems to be preferred again.
What do you think's happened there in the fullback? Because the first thing Ralph Rangnick came in, which I've alluded to, the first thing he did, walk through the door, change the fullbacks. Luke Shaw was dropped, Wan-Bissaka was dropped, Dalot and Tellez were our fullbacks. Tellez and Shaw kind of shared the role. Shaw's maybe taken it back, unfortunately, for some people at the moment. And Dalot sort of had a free run at right back. Okay, he's first choice now. But all of a sudden, he wasn't doing anything wrong. Suddenly, Wan-Bissaka's came in, and Wan-Bissaka's form has drastically improved since Dalot was given the first choice at right back. So is this just a case of what we did see to Luke Shaw when Alex Tellez came in? It was a kick up the backside. Do you think it's just a part of management? Ralph Rangnick has maybe not seen something in Wan-Bissaka, but just thought, he's just not performing because he doesn't have anyone to give him a kick up the backside. So do you think that was more behind Dalot's inclusion in recent weeks rather than just he prefers Dalot as a player? Do you think it was just to sort of spark a bit of competition?
It's possible. I think with Wan-Bissaka, he obviously had he got caught driving with the disqualification, right? So maybe it was a bit of disciplinary action from the German Ralph Rangnick. But look, I got to be honest with you, Tom. I haven't rated Diogo Dalot. I think he's been given a very fair opportunity. He's been given a run of games. All the press and Fabrizio Romano, of all people, constantly defended Diogo Dalot, constantly said he deserves an opportunity. He's really talented. He's been given the best part of 2 months to really make that right back spot his own. I really think he struggled to take his opportunity. He's been okay defensively without being great, and his crossing ability, I actually think Wan-Bissaka puts in a better cross. Maybe you can argue he doesn't progress the ball as well. He absolutely doesn't. But if you're talking about the actual delivery of the cross, I think Wan-Bissaka is actually better than Diogo Dalot. He's for pace, they're probably about equal. Defensively, you're taking Wan-Bissaka 10 times over Diogo Dalot. So on the balance of things, I don't think either of them are the solution. But if I'm choosing between the two, I tend to lean towards Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, it's a hard one. At the moment, I sort of lean towards Diogo Dalot, but the way he's performing at the moment, keep Wan-Bissaka in the team. And until he has a bad performance, then Dalot gets his chance. So it will be interesting, especially with the Manchester derby. I think you have to play Wan-Bissaka just in case. He performs very well at the Etihad. It seems to be his sort of favourite ground to play at. And the obviously challenges we're going to face in that game, you can understand the selection there. But who are going? We've gone Nemanja Matic for 3 points. I do see Lindelof in there. I think he was the best out of it. Not that Varane was poor. And again, the defenders didn't have to do much. So sort of praising Lindelof isn't sort of saying he had a great game, but sort of was steady, did nothing wrong.
But he was the most creative player on the pitch.
Yeah, well, he has that. He's a good footballer. I think he's a better footballer than he is defender. And sometimes in a game at home to Watford, when the centre-backs are the ones who sort of dictate a lot of the play, you can understand why he's involved there. So I'm happy to give Lindelof points. Maybe it's a flip of a coin between Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka for 1 and 2 points. I'll give you the floor for it.
You mean Fred?
Well, I haven't seen Fred's name in the comments there. I say Raphael's giving him 1 point here.
Look, I'd be going personally. I'm saying Matic, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka. That's the way I'm leaning. But what's in the comments?
Yeah, no, that's a pretty much fair. I think 1 or 2 people put Elanga in there as well, who I thought was bright, but ultimately, and I go back to my video a week ago, and look off the back of the Atletico Madrid goal. I absolutely love Anthony Elanga, Tom Cleverley. I thought it was a mistake to get rid of Tom Cleverley at the time. I thought he was a fine. Not that he was the answer to Manchester United's midfield, but I thought he was a decent player. But
do you still have that opinion?
He doesn't come into this Manchester United midfield, but in 2014, 2015, I thought some of the issues we'll facing, I thought, again, not that he was the answer, but I thought he was harshly treated by some Man United fans. Anthony Elanga, I thought, was good, but ultimately he thought, just lacked that little bit of quality.
Didn't take his opportunities.
Well, when in front of goal, he thought he should score that. But then we're saying that about Anthony Elanga should have scored there. Or Ronaldo had the same chance. Ronaldo didn't score. So we're going to criticise Ronaldo.
Well, we're not giving Ronaldo points, so things are consistent.
Oh, no, yeah. And again, nothing against Elanga. I thought he did well, but I just had these fears. They're not even fears. They're just questions about his long-term future at United. But I'll be saying that. So Lindelof for 2 points, Wan-Bissaka for 1, was it?
Yeah, I think so. I think on the balance of play, look, there's always going to be 1 or 2 you disagree with, but I think the consensus is pretty fair, pretty consistent. Just saw Dion's comment coming in here. Should we try Lindelof at 6? I don't think so.
A lot of people have always said it. Look, yes, he's a footballer, but yeah. Could you see him going in playing? Could you see him playing for PSG or Bayern Munich or Real Madrid in number 6? No.
Exactly. It's like a striker. I feel like the number 6 and striker, they're the 2 positions that you just really got to know your craft. Yeah. They're very specialist positions.
Well, moving on, just to wrap up the podcast and moving on from the disaster against Watford and looking forward, and not just looking forward to the next couple of weeks. Obviously, a few sort of tough weeks coming up. But what the potential is at the end of the season. And there's so many factors to look at the end of the season. Players, contracts, managers, everything. The big one at the moment, Champions League or no Champions League. And at the moment, obviously, we're all going to lean towards the outcome that we're not going to make the Champions League. Tottenham are in 8th or 9th. And next week, we're probably going to say Tottenham are favourites and Arsenal lose and Arsenal have no chance. At the moment, it definitely feels like we don't have a chance. And I think I'll be very confident in sort of saying I'm going to have that feeling within the next month. Now, ultimately, things could change. But at the moment, we're all going to sit here and say Man United aren't going to finish in the top 4. My question to you is, we're all going to sit here and say, if we don't make the Champions League, I'll prefer not to be in Europe at all. Just get the new manager in to focus just on the league and have that time. I understand and agree with that. However, come next season, when we have 1 game a week and we're seeing other teams compete in Europe, and I know Europa League or even the conference, for God's sake, isn't the Champions League. At the end of the day, it's European football, and we want to see Manchester United play every day of the week, for God's sake. I understand the appeal of no European football. I just think I wouldn't like it at the time. I wouldn't like it next season. I'd actually prefer, I'll throw this one to you, I would actually prefer the Conference League over Europa League, because I think in the Conference League, you could dead set just play a youth team. You could play pretty much the youth team and treat it as if you're not in Europe.
That won't happen though. Like
Yeah, I know it wouldn't
I
happen,
agree
but
with
if
you,
I'm the
but it
manager,
won't
that's what I'd
happen.
do. Yeah. What would you prefer though? Like you sort of rolled your eyes. If you had to choose, okay, we're going to qualify for Europe. You'd choose Europa League over Conference League. That's a hell of a choice.
Look, I'm with you. Look, to be honest, call me a cynic, but give me Champions League or give me no European football. If we got one less video to do, that's fine. An extra night where I get to scratch my back. I don't care. Just Manchester United belong in the Champions League. If we can't, for whatever reason, find the quality within ourselves to get there, then finish 10th. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not asked for it.
This is something here, Dion, which is along my line of thinking in regards to the Conference League. When Jose Mourinho came in, one of the positive straws we tried to clutch to and sort of cling to was I don't mind the Europa more games for a new manager, was that there's more games that he can sort of utilise his squad and see what he wants. Now, ultimately, Jose Mourinho went on to win the Europa League. Obviously, he put all his eggs in that basket. But that is why I do see, and again, I don't want to be in the Europa League. I don't want to be in the Conference League. And I understand it only brings negatives. But if you're in it, you do have to make the most of it. So if you do find yourself in the Conference League, which at the moment, that's the way we're headed, unfortunately. If we do find ourselves in that position, how do you make the most of it? You can't just sit there and say, I'm not going to watch Manchester United that week. That's bullshit. You are going to watch them. So as a fan, how are you going to make the most of that? Or more importantly, forget the fan, how is a manager going to make the most of it? And I think that while boring in terms of looking forward to a Conference League or Europa League, you can find excitement if the club treat it right and play a youth team.
Don't disagree with you, but it won't happen.
Won't happen because obviously winning the Champions League in May in Paris it's been moved to, so it doesn't matter about top four. We are getting through Atletico Madrid. I'm confident. Weirdly, I'm more confident at home to Atletico Madrid than I am at Watford.
Yep, so am I. Until we lose 3-0.
But are you though? Like, how do you feel going into this now? Because we've obviously got Manchester City, which I think all of us, even me, sort of glass half full and confident. Yes, we're going to lose at Manchester City. I accept that. We're going to lose away at Anfield. I accept that. Unfortunately, that's a sad sign of the times that fans are accepting that. But here we are. That's sort of the sign of the times. Atletico Madrid, I fancy us. For some reason, I just do.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way we go against City and Spurs will dictate a lot of that. If we get absolutely battered in those two games, which, look, we got to be honest, there's every opportunity of that happening, then you have to question the resolve of this Manchester United side. I think we're going to really learn a lot over the next two games, Tom. I'm actually happy we've got a difficult month. Now, we've seen under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when we got these difficult periods, United found a way to pull out some results. I want to see what this team's made of. The last time we had a difficult fixture pile-up back in October or November, I want to say, United crumbled. We've got an opportunity now to really put things right. And look, we probably are out of the top four race, but you know what? You beat City here, you beat Tottenham, and then who have you got after that? Liverpool, Leicester, Everton, Norwich, Arsenal. Look, it's going to be a hard ask. Listen, Liverpool at home, forget it. You're going to lose, okay? You're going to lose. But we've gone to the Etihad and gotten a win multiple times before. You got to find a way to do it. And we've got enough good quality players to set up in a way to do it. So Tottenham, Tottenham's Tottenham. We can get a result.
With City at the start of you can just see in terms of the way this season's gone, as bad as it is, you can see that happening just for the sheer fact that it'll put Liverpool in the driving seat. That's just how this season has gone.
Exactly. So if you look at all of our games in the Premier League before the end of the season, seriously, they're all winnable bar Liverpool. I think Liverpool we're gonna lose at Anfield. We just lose at Anfield. It's what we do. But you look at every other game there. Look, Arsenal got a weak underbelly. I gotta say, incredible performance against Wolves. I'm amazed they won that. And you know what? Credit where it's due. Arsenal are showing some resolve that I didn't truthfully thought they have in them. They've moved on a really big player. And man, I've been sitting here saying Mikel Arteta is absolute dog shit. He's the one who's lasted out of the Frank Lampard, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Mikel Arteta debate. He's the longest lasting. He's finished 10th and 9th. And he's the one who seems to be finally pushing up. Maybe there is something in giving a manager time.
Well, no, it's not a maybe. There's a definite 100%. They do need to sort of be given time, but we don't live in that world, unfortunately. I've just seen here, and this will continue long into the night in our group chat. And Matt here saying the team's full of cats, Ronaldo and Bruno, the biggest of them all. My question here, Bruno,
nonsensical,
my question to Matt, and just throw this in the group chat because I'll come after you in that. Who are you going to play ahead of him? You're going to play Greenwood ahead of Ronaldo? You're going to play Cavani ahead of Ronaldo? They're not available. You're going to play Rashford ahead of Ronaldo? We've got them, play them. Who are you going to play ahead of Bruno? Donny van der Beek, who's gone online? I just think, look, and I love you. I love the opinions, but look, I think the the blaming of Bruno and Ronaldo for our problems when they've been our two most productive players this season it baffles me, Larry.
Can I make one point on Ronaldo? And I want to say what you think of this. Look, we'll never know. We're just pure speculation here. Do you think Marcus Rashford's form can almost be attributed to Ronaldo? Now, hear me out. Is there a case of, and same thing with Bruno Fernandes now that I think about it, do you think there might be an element with those two who obviously really respect Ronaldo, where they're thinking, I need to get the ball to Ronaldo, as opposed to thinking, I should shoot here, I should pass here, maybe following their natural instinct. Instead, they're almost going into a default in their conscious to be like, I need to give the ball to Ronaldo. And is that contributing to the poor form?
That was, I think, one of my main concerns today. As I said, the day we signed Ronaldo, and we all sat here and we were full of excitement when we said, well, take away all the excitement and look at it from a football point of view and the type of striker Cristiano Ronaldo is and the influence he'll have on his teammates. You thought, yeah, there might be some players in regards to we don't have a strong squad full of strong personalities. You could see a situation where some players like a Marcus Rashford or some of the young players do sort of cave into a Ronaldo and sort of do alter their game. That was obviously one of the concerns with bringing a Ronaldo in, 100%. Now that ultimately, in my opinion, if someone is doing that and sort of they are cave into the power that Ronaldo has, ultimately that individual isn't strong enough to make it at Manchester United. You should be strong enough to play your own game and do the right thing by the team and not sort of feel inferior to a teammate. But ultimately, that could be a concern, something not pointed at Ronaldo, but that, again, goes up to the football department saying, well, why did you bring Ronaldo in? So we can blame the individual in Ronaldo, but ultimately the mistake is made by signing him, not the individual himself.
No, I 100% agree with you. I don't think Ronaldo's hurt the system. I think the players are almost starstruck or don't have the confidence within themselves to say no to Ronaldo. And who are you to say no to Ronaldo, right?
Oh, no.
But I just think we've found ourselves in a really difficult situation here. Can I just say Anthony Martial could easily be our number 9 right now?
Yeah, our loans in terms of we're all set in isolation. Yeah, Martial's right to go on loan. Donny van de Beek's right to go on loan. We could do with them.
Yeah, absolutely we could.
Yeah,
what do you do?
Who knows? Time will tell. It depends who the new manager is. If they do wind up having a career at Manchester United, who knows? They might be in Sydney in a few months' time. Match review, boys, not a season review. Okay,
no one's reviewing the season. We're just putting some points out there, mate.
Now, anyway, on that, hopefully everyone did enjoy the video. Obviously, a sort of array of different opinions, which we do sort of all appreciate. Many different ones today. Obviously after a disappointing result, but always good to have a chat with you, Larry, and everyone in the live chat. So if you did get something out of that, some type of therapy or some type of frustration off your chest, please do leave a like on the video. That would be great. If you are new, if you could subscribe, we'd truly appreciate it. And Larry and I will be back. It's a while till United play, so I'm sure we'll get a few bits and bobs out throughout the week. But until then, hope everyone has a good week, and we'll chat to you soon. Cheers.